Welcome everybody. Let me turn my controller back on. Come back on, controller. There we go. Where is my stuff? Oh, my camera zoomed super far out again for some reason. It's been doing that a lot lately. Whoa, and now it's zoomed in too much. Now it's too little. What is happening? The zoom on this thing is so drastic. Oh well. Anyway. Welcome to the new installment of the Ace Attorney Chronicles, the second part, or the second game, and the last game. I actually probably should I should probably update that to be 2, because I realize I'm playing the second half of the game, even though the thing will list it as the stuff. The Merry Crisis is true. And I'm gonna get this new controller too. This will be the first time I'm using it. It's like, oops. It's basically just kind of like a GameCube controller in a sense. It feels pretty much like one. But what the cool part about it is, I mean, well, it's got some annoying turbo buttons I don't really care for. It's a little annoying, but its triggers don't feel like a GameCube ones. But if I can, there we go. They can be put on the side of your Switch to have GameCube-shaped Joy-Cons. So that's kind of cool. There's just all this awkward empty space in the back of the Switch, but I thought they were pretty cool. Don't technically need it, but I've been seeing it online for a long time and I wanted to try it. It doesn't work too bad. Okay. So let's get going, I think. Has it really been 15 minutes since I went live? That's really weird. Downloadable content? What? I don't remember this game being downloadable content. I think 15 minutes is long enough to wait. So, the last time we streamed this game, I had completed the first half of the Chronicles, the first of 2 games. It's so sad to think of this whole story being told in 2 games. So let's go ahead. Do I pick it like this? I don't actually know. think that's what it means. Let's see. I think the adventure of the unspeakable story. Oh, so it's just kind of like, oh, the whole game treats it almost as one entire game. So maybe stopping was a weird choice last time, but it did roll the credits. I'm sure I remember that. But it just kills. This is episode 5, so I did do a little bit of research before we started in here, and I found. What the heck? One of these cats has been on the desk. This whole thing is covered in cat hair. Giving a rough estimation of how long the first chapter was, and it looked like it could have been about 5 hours. Granted, I'm judging this based off Nintendo Capri Sun's Let's Play videos, so it could be longer, it could be less, but I'm gonna go for the idea of trying to do at least 3 hours worth of the story of the first chapter today, and then we'll see where we'll go from there. It could take me longer, it could take me less time, I don't know. I don't want to sit here for 6 hours trying to finish the first chapter, though, so I'm like, no, I don't know if anybody wants that. Plus, I'll be rewatching it later on would be a pain otherwise. So let us go ahead and start. Oh, they definitely did not expect you to drop the game and come back. Did they? Whoops. What was this about? Do I still have all this junk? Oh no. I don't know anything about what's happening. I'm in danger. Hi, Ramirez. I don't remember where this message came from. I just remember that Sasato was going to go home. And this is like a recap. The message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. 4 names. Watch me not gonna be able to remember the character. The first is Kei Asogi. Kazuma Asogi. Why? What was his name on that disc? Oh, the music discs! Right. Okay, yeah. The second is A. Shin. Shin. I don't recognize that name. The third is T. Gregson? It would seem Tobias Gregson is the third man on the list. I hope that was his voice. And what's his name doing in a secret government communication as well? Right, communications. And the last name is Sasato. What's the matter, Miss Sasato? It's just so strange. So unexpected. Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson. What? Wilson? John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? Oh, that's right, I remember. This is just kind of a recap. Dude, I forgot. And he died in the very first case. Herlock Sholmes. Uh-oh. Sholmes knows it, too. It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then, after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message. Or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris. I just can't believe it. Who would have ever thought that those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan. So, Daddy could be in Japan then. Where Susie and Reno come from. Oh, well. No, it's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson. There must be lots of J's among them. Dodge a bullet there. Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumi University. We can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windibank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave. I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. Yeah, this definitely was just kind of a recap. Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon. Yes, it seems so. I'll sail on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie? We wish you safe passage, Miss Sasato. I always say her name wrong. Thank you so much. I wish you all the very best. Miss Sasato, I had hoped to always have you at my side, to guide me and support me. Mr. Naruhado? Please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. Oh, the tears. I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, now don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah. Oh, yes. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Makes stepladder jokes. I don't think either of those things existed in the steampunk era. Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruhado? Yes? Do you remember the first time we met? Yes, of course. And this is Bura when I was dragged out from that wardrobe, still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with a Sasato takedown. You know very well what I'm talking about after that! It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy. Miss Sasato. And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that I'll be back soon. Farewell until then. What if I accidentally loaded a previous save or something? I don't think I did, but...
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey.
They zoom away. Kitty!
Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around.
I forgot he could play the violin.
After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
This is supposed to be the beginning of the second game. Okay, so the Ace Attorney Chronicles on the Nintendo Switch is a collection of 2 games. And this should be the second one? Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhado. Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the Special Express train, apparently. I really feel like I loaded a wrong save. Huh? It caused such a commotion on the line, all the other trains had to wait at stations. But really, we should never have made it to Dover in time. We never would have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I can explain everything and how it was all your fault. Huh? Huh? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow, according to Miss Sasato. You love defending yourself in court. Huh? It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? Mr. Sholmes. Yes? A word, if you don't mind. Why, certainly, any word you like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. Oh, yes, I love Runo's words. You know, just the one he'll use here. Wait. This definitely feels like I loaded right before the end of the last game.
Objection.
Wait a minute. Why did it load? Wait. Hello? Yeah, I think... okay, hold on. I think I accidentally... oh, I accidentally loaded the ending of the last game. Well, there's a recap for you. Okay, so how do I access the... okay. Yes, I'm trying to load the next game. Let me out of here.
Bruh.
Bruh. To be fair, I probably did definitely need that recap, but the game probably would have provided me a perfectly acceptable one. Okay, okay. Oh! I am really stupid. I didn't see the giant arrows on the screen! There be arrows. Alright. After I've wasted enough of everyone's time. It's gonna be a whole saga, I can feel it. Well, this is the second game.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
Watch it turn to me doing something real stupid.
Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned.
Oh no, her dad's dead, isn't he?
And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
I find myself faced with another awful crime. Wait. The lady? No, not her again.
So I came here today to ask something of you.
Dead daddy.
Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life.
Wait, what?
As a lawyer.
Wait, what? The only time in my life. Oh no!
So please, I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Oh, she's seeing Kazuma's grave. She said that so fast. Bro, we get to be Sasato in the introduction chapter. The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. That's a really good way to do an introduction chapter, in case for some reason you didn't play the first game, or just need a refresher. The 13th of August, 8:26 a.m. Supreme Court of Defendants, Antechamber 3. Here I am again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judiciary of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Oh, just FYI, for anyone who didn't remember, because it just came back to me, the person dead in this case, by the looks of it, is the lady who was the criminal in the very first case that tried to frame us in the first case of the first game, who got away scot-free because of complicated laws, but was guilty of the crime. So, of course they're going to probably pin it on Sasato, because they're going to be like, oh, it was revenge for what she did to your friend, or whatever. Actually, wait, but she wasn't even involved in that case, in the first part, so maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. I'm going to steal my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Yo, it's Daddy-O! He's not dead! Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, counsel. But you look as white as a sheet. And those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors, either. Oh, dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not that sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Or is he the accused? Yujin Makatoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumi University. A man who earlier in his life traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Who are you? Would I be correct in the thing that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Okay, so you're the accused. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Miss Sasato seems very uncomposed for herself. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication. This whole thing! Ray Membrami? There's probably I want to almost say membrane, but that's not how you would say that. Born the same year as I and my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the university research laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial, accused of committing a truly awful murder. Wait, so why is Sasato being the defense lawyer? Just because it's her friend? I feel like, in terms of Japan society at that point, they wouldn't have let her in a courtroom. But, because this is back in the Dark Ages where we still didn't respect women. You feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. That's understandable, Sora. Oh my, well, it's just that you look so gallant and dashing. Girl, she gay. Good for her. We're still in the dark. ER still in the Dark Ages, yes. A little more steampunky than real life's Dark Ages, but yes. Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Mary was found dead at the age of 250. Goodness. I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. Wait, what? What? Oh, wait a minute. Are we dressed as a dude? It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh my god! No, she ain't gay. We just a real good-looking dude, I'm betting. Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikatoba? Even if your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Sasato? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner, Ray. It's just that— No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, the varsity cape, that varsity badge! Look at you. You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial University, a male student. I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. Somehow I'll make a man out of you. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see, it was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. The Dark Ages. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Sasato, you'd go to such lengths for me? As long as they don't check my pants, we'll be fine. Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. No, I have complete faith in you. Ray? Sorry, I was in the wrong tone. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman... What a wretched reason! I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing! Ray, please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and dotting eyes. Yo, she's having a bi-panic moment. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, you really do look so dashing. Get caught down! Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. Oh, her dad's loving it. You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Sasato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That means so much to me, Sasato. Defendant, counsel! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Right now. I need to see. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Bruh. Oh. Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. You coming in, Dad? Well, Sasato, you've certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer. Shh. There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But, Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Wait, what? Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that. And is it true, the reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was? I feel like, Dad, you need to tell me. We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. Yo, Daddy-O's gonna be our assistant for today. I'm Sasato Mikitoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. Unforeseen. How many times have I wished that he were here? I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhado-san. I hope I'm saying that right. It's the only way that his name sounds natural to me to speak. 13th of August, 9 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1. I can kind of see her over there. This court is now in session to hear the trial of Ray Membani? I don't know. He's back!
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
God, she's adorable. Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready. Ready! Look at her eyes! Oh, she's pretty. Yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhado, correct? We're trying to be the boy! We're impersonating him. Sorry? Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you in this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel? Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I'm Ryutaro. He who was vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhado clan. It seems Ryutaro may need to consider how it better uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhado?
A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhado, would that perchance be?
You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhado, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is, his cousin! That's right. Ryutaro here has been studying the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them!
Tut, tut, tut! What a pitiful situation! Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has to call on a country boy!
How dare you! Such a toe with every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys! I will have you making fun of her. Shh!
Huh?
Oh, please be careful, Ray.
What an unrefined tomboy we have here! But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
Ugh, I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhado-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to filth. What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. I'm not refined enough to understand her vernacular. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire.
Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock? Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you are significantly competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhado stood where you're standing now, the same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answer some simple questions? Alright, it's time to prove myself. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple. Very well, to start with, you will state the name of the victim. Phew, that is simple. Could have that if I tried. Ah. She's so adorable. What's the matter? Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruto-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are wont to blank. Why are you speaking like that? It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position, and that, guys. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record. That's right. Just use the R to open the court record. Then you just need to flip to the people section with R. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with R. That's where the information I need will be. Now I can access it. Time of death just after 2 p.m. Death is believed due to trauma to the victim's lung from a knife blade. Only a single wound was identified. Giselle Brett, female, British. Time of death. Stab wound. Death occurred within minutes. Extreme motus pupil construction was observed in the victim in both eyes. He also happens to be my father. 16? Well, it's Giselle Brett. I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case? Did she raise her hand? She raised her hand. Hey, Ice, you're just in time. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Okay, Ice, I'm gonna... Unless you've seen this game, I'm gonna give you the most light speed thing. If you remember at the end of the last game, Sasuke had to go home because her dad was sick. And while she was home, her friend's in legal trouble that no one would take her case. And the victim is one of the characters from the first game. And so now we're playing as Sasuke in court, dressed as a dude, because the courts have no respect for women, essentially. So we are playing as the assistant right now. Dressed as him. Yay, feminism! Giselle Brett. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct? And being a member of our Empire Judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name undeniably associated with our own Empire judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. Dude, I played it like 9 months ago! Actually, longer! Good, interesting. Exactly! But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court included in the court record. Let me double check. She was found guilty of murdering the Professor John Wilston. Is there any... well, it's gotta be there. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett, behind the woman student persona, was the face of... Queen Victoria! I killed her.
Yes.
Dang, she can hit the desk like the pros! 9 months ago, the visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumi University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. Yo, someone say persona! At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikitoba? I don't know who was speaking. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman in our soil was a matter of the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. I forgot it was secret. A student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of the murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. They are boring. Yo, the boy! With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed a despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Never forget Kazuma. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China, instead.
Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship.
And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed.
Only the day before? F you sent you to China. That might be worse than Japan. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is significantly capable of representing the defendant. Oh! She's so cute. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ouchi? Is that how you say it? Ouchi. I'm gonna say Ouchi. I can't pronounce, especially when it's not even my language.
As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight.
I don't like how that sentence is structured. Took place on the 11th August? Excuse me? He asserted his dominance for no reason. As is the history of the Pains.
On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky and a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes.
Crab.
The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire, and the accused, Remember Annie.
I don't know how you say her name!
Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive.
Hold on, I'm gonna check something. Maybe I could just get the pronunciation online. Google, help me. Watch it be unable to help. I am lost. It's you say it. Remember me. Oh, I get it. Remember me. I get it. That's the pun. There's no pronunciation, but I'm gonna assume it. That's how you would say it. All right. Well, There's the pun. I wasn't smart enough to figure out the pun, so I'm glad there's the pun. It's not real. It's not a real word. It's a pun. They said it just spelled that way to look more Japanese. Wait, but the visual novel reading is literally the only show. Memba me. Well, you would probably say Memba me, I guess. I don't know. Oh well. I just needed to continue to not look stupid. Okay, powerful motive.
The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
Well, that extraordinary description of the events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel what he said about the powerful motive. I want the motive. Slam. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
Tut tut tut! Is the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand?
I beg your pardon?
No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Membami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe.
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikitoba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that the defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikitoba, whose research were you assisting then?
I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago? That's the motive. That's all you needed to say.
The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
What the Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the English woman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Don't be too honest.
Oh no, Ray, be careful of what you're saying.
It's too late, you got her.
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
Well, that was clearly a trap all along. Yeah, he waited. Fun fact, guys, you can lie in court. People do it a lot. How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details and something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up on the prosecution counsel what he said about being alone together, I guess? I don't know. Mimbami-san. Yes, what is it? Naruharu-san. There we go. I'm really starting to wish we made my alias Ryotaro Sasato. Her face. I can't even. Mulan, but for warriors. That would have been a lot smarter. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. Wait, I'm not insinuating anything. It sounds like she's over-projecting. There were other people present. Detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No!
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying. Father's right, we need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up on the yeah, you said that. The bathing spot. We get to talk about everything. If I may, Prosecutor Akuchi.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
Ah, my apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused a poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West.
Okay, so wait, where's the West when you are the West? What does the West consider the West? What is Japan's Japan?
We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is co-creative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant. America? I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? Dude, she's got you there!
For old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day on our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is able to stand up to foreign powers. Wait, what's the geography here? Normal Earth geography, as far as I know. Everything is in the same place as it is in the real world, I'm guessing. I mean, there's no proof of that, but I'm assuming it's what it is. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor! It was the government who granted permission, not I! In any case, it was decided that with my dinges, with a dedicated detective on duty, that nothing could go wrong.
But in fact, the murder took place.
I said don't look at me! It was a young student girl who did it, not I!
No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. Are we done? I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. He smashed. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration instead of doing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit, a photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
Figure out geography? I'm better at math than geography. Fair point. I'd need to look at a map or a globe, too.
Yes,
thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. As he says as he peruses the swimsuit. Bro, I already see it. I already see what we're looking for. Like, look at the back of the straw hut. There's a slit in the chair. It would have been so easy for her to be sitting in the chair, someone just goes, boop, through the back. I'm already picturing it now. But let us actually not get too far ahead of ourselves.
As you can clearly see, there's nowhere within the hut anyone could have hidden.
The tea was poisoned! The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. Slow text scroll. As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside this beach hut at the time.
This is deeply troubling, I must say. A finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We have to get this case to be at least 5 hours long, you know, sir. We intend to prove the accused appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime, with damning evidence.
How do you have multiple witnesses when there was only 3 people at the scene? How does this make sense? Bro has a whole PowerPoint ready.
You underestimate my power, Naruhado. My PowerPoint skills are immaculate.
Witnesses? But who? I'm asking the same question. A freaking pog face. Oh.
One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Ugh. Dude, I can't. Sasato's too pretty, even dressed as a boy. I can't even.
Very well then, counsel, bring forth your witnesses.
Takashuchi Akuchi have been waiting for this moment.
I don't know how to pronounce any of his name. Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten. The trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse, when that irrelevant little student boy utterly humiliated me!
Oh, he's got more hair?
Rinasuke Naruto!
Yes?
This insult to the Akuchi family name will never be forgotten!
You become conceited with age, counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Can we just swing it? Oh, that's how it happened. Judgment cut!
Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own mini-Miji revolution? Are you modernizing as well, counsel? I love her so much.
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the Akuchi growth! You see? This is the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown!
I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hope exactly? Hope?
I said silence! Today, I face another Yoko student of the Naruhado clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be the fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witness to the stand.
The judge over here be like, this is getting good. 1 second, I gotta turn the fan on. For some reason, it's super hot in here.
You'll have to forgive me. It's mighty toasty in here.
We just air fry his head. Make him bald when he loses. Okay. It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. Prosecution and the defense each has much to lose. Thanks, Dad. A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life. Yeah, Dad.
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hasanaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I am in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Sosuke. To be sold out, the acceptable I Am a Cat, the sensational success by Soki Natsume. Oh my goodness.
Fries.
Fries? I'll come get them later. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? What?
Third tons of them.
What?
Third tons of them look like a family.
A family of fries? I heard fries. Oh great, reused
Hey,
models.
some fry jumped on the ceiling.
The fries are jumping on the ceiling. I needn't? It's only natural you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Sosuke, even. Soseki, I think. Soseki, sorry. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Sasato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course. I know. Perhaps Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Dude, your best friend couldn't even know Sasuke. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hasanaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one. Although they don't seem to be helping you see. She's too cute. I love her monologue. It's so good. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. What business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki-san? Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yumi University Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yumi University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. Professor over there, in fact. With Professor Makatoba? Yes, that's right. I was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who studied in Great Britain. She looks so disturbed. No, it does not. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scribble my privacy. Dude, who's that? As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. Sosuke Natsume article has been entered into the court record. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those are her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. Said she continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. The detective I am at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hasanaga. Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. Was he coughing? But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. He says as he's bleeding! Oh my, Inspector, well, you do have something on your face now.
Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father? No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it means that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Oh, but if only I had, I'd never seen that awful sight! Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret! Bro, he's got freaking ink smudges on his hand. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all you have witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. Let's go. The witnessed scene. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I had just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride of the English woman, dagger in hand, that she stabbed wildly. Well, that's not the truth. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. We already know that's not true, because the autopsy... It does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of the heinous crime. What? Dude, Cecil would be like, get that out of here.
Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, it was it. Damning evidence.
Well, what have you there, counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Bro, we don't have fountain pens where we're from. Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene, whilst examining the body. It appears that, in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, let me guess, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. I thought you were going to write something in the ground. What?
Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over to the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me! Yes, the victim was really grasping it, quite deliberately there in her hand. Firmly grasped it. 11037. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine them, Your Excellency? Ah! Theo's initials have been engraved onto the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membrami. The initials of the defendant.
Ah! No! Bro! Knocked her back!
This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence.
Is there anyone else in the area that has those names? Oh, well, probably not.
So, have I omitted anything?
I don't know, have you? What do we got? Well, none of you guys have the right initials. It ain't gonna be that easy.
Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
Get up, Sasato. I don't understand. The prosecutor, Akuchi, of 9 months ago, had none of this man's poise.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now.
Get up, girl.
Naruharu-san!
Naruharu. Oh, that's you. That means... Oh, yes! Me!
Snake! Dude. Is there another Naruharu in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruharu in your courtroom. Let me turn this off 1 sec. My phone was still on. I love her so much. Cousin Ryutaro, pull yourself together, please. Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in witness testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. The witnessed scene. Alright, I'm not going to read that part again. Do I go for the flavor text? In that jaunty disguise. Correct. Wait! No! I mean, it wasn't the first time I've worn this swimsuit for the dip of the ocean. It's tried and tested. Do what must be done to keep the English woman under surveillance. Those were my orders that day. And this tried and tested outfit was the answer? Being able to blend flawlessly into a crowd is an important part of a detective's job. I submerged myself in the salty water, leaving only Mr. Turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. The turtle is held down now. Mr. Turtle loves the water. The father-daughter team was like, what is wrong with this guy? But there was no need for you to blend into the background of this assignment, really, was there? If that made you late arriving to the scene, I think perhaps you had your priorities wrong. Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning any further at the moment. She looks so freaking done. God, I can't even with her. Alright. Ah! You are describing the victim's scream, presumably, Suseki-san. In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens. Okay. Alright, moving on. Kaya! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors are wont to describing things so. Soseki-san wasn't like this. Wasn't at all like this in England. I love her attitude with this. I can't. Well, that sure pierced my heavens. Anyway, I spun around at the noise, and the beach hut immediately fell in my gaze. Yes, the beach hut. The area is popular with government ministers. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. Crab! The beach hut is a simple structure erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. Although the English woman commandeered the hut for herself, which meant I was forced to change into my swimwear on the sand. Ah, I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you. Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside and headed for the beach hut at a run. That's gonna be crab noted. That's gonna be critical licorice later. I can speak, I promise. Or, in more literary terms, I decrabbed and beetled off hutwise. No! Murder! I ran into the beach hut. Okay, I didn't read this. I don't need this, but I want to do it. Wait, by paired, you don't mean to say... But how could that be? No, you misunderstand! Obviously, I mean the victim and the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Oh, it would have been helpful if you could have just said that from the outset. If you jump to conclusions, you have to expect to fall flat on your face sometimes.
Dear me, pinning your hopes on such an outside chance. Foolish, very foolish.
There really was an outside chance. I just wish I'd realized that before I said something silly.
So, Inspector, why don't you tell the court how exactly you found the aforementioned pair in the hut?
Well, it was a sorry sight. It really grisly scene. I parted the Norian curtain hanging at the doorway and stepped aside, only to see the defendant leaning menacingly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled on the sand. Oh my god, it's a bobblehead turtle! My glasses very nearly cracked at the ominous sight that met my eyes.
How thoroughly appalling!
Ugh, doesn't appear to be lying here. Well, Soseki-san, can you confirm what the Inspector Hasanaga is saying, I wonder? You'd like a literary man's opinion?
Yes, yes, yes! It was that young... Oh, I don't need to read that. Stabbed wildly. You actually saw her do it? Oh, indeed. The terrible spectre! The Tribune Inspector! The bloody torrent! The author's torment! What an eek. Every sight and every sound is still carved in my melancholy memory. It was that was my impression, at least. As a future literary sensation. Counsel, what on earth was that shrill, effeminate scream? Oh, no. What are you insinuating? I am as manly a Japanese man as you. Bro, be like, girl, you man, why you scream like a girl? I wonder if I might interject here. Sosuke-san, something you said is troubling me. That was my impression. Were your words just now, I believe? So, do you mean to say you're not confident that you really did see what you described? No! I mean, yes! I mean, I know what I saw! My ears didn't deceive me when I heard that scream, hence my eyes didn't deceive me either. I would describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it all in tomorrow's newspaper serial. Dude, he got caked up over there in that suit. What the heck? I like totally pee standing up. It's the Patrick Star level. I should have read it like that. My brain was not thinking. It sounds as though the next installment of I Am a Cat may take a macabre turn. I think this is a fool's errand. The more we pressure our author friend on what he saw, the more entrenched he's going to become. Oh dear. How awkward. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to be... Okay, I know this. She was stabbed multiple times. How can you be sure of that? Very simply, from the blood of the blade. The blood. When I entered the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air. Yes, yes, that's right! I saw it too! Oh. And I noted that there was blood on the blade already at that point. In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once by the time I arrived on the scene. Yes, yes, that's right! I saw it too! And the victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I could be sure. The victim did not die instantaneously. I said let's say instantly. Yes, right! I saw it too! Maybe a year in London was too much for him. He's not like he's forgotten how to speak Japanese. No, I'm just the one reading. That's the problem here. The logic of your argument is sound, at least. Well, as I said, it's my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly. That's just my personal opinion, of course. Jeez, girl, roast him! Bobble turtle. Bro, he just... Counsel, you will refrain from mocking the witness! Man! Oh no, I just have so many thoughts whirling around in my head. That's all I can do to stand here, wide-eyed and mute. Oh goodness, my dear, you really must try to calm down. But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie. Well, what you must remember, I think, is that the witnesses may inadvertently lie at times. For various reasons. A misunderstanding. A mistaken observation. A delusion, even. Ah, a delusion. What's important is that we determine the truth. That there's only one sure way to do that. Yes, with evidence, of course. Look like a true judicial assistant. During the witness testimony, you can use art to pick up the evidence and present for consideration. So you need to listen carefully to what each statement is, and compare to what's said in the details of the court record. If you find some conflicting information, that may be the inconsistency you're looking for. Yes, it's all about inconsistencies. Once you've identified a witness statement that appears to conflict with a piece of evidence, what?
Food done?
Okay.
It's fries and a burger.
Okay. Thank you. They reminded me of fries. Present the evidence to the witness with X,
And a burger.
and the way ahead will present itself to you, I'm sure. Yes! Alright then. Big burger, Colonel. Should Sasato's try to speak with Snake impersonation to assert her manliness? I hope I'm up to the task. Yes! For you to have the witness repeat their statements as many times as you like. Everyone has to start at the beginning, remember. So those wide eyes are quite forgivable. And besides, there's no one else to defend the poor girl. You're right. I need to listen to the testimony again from the start. It's fresh in her mind since you got added to Fortnite. No, I didn't want to do that! No! I didn't mean to press! Where's the skip button? I wanted to let me out of here! She was in a game with 3 people left. Okay. I know. Okay, holding B is faster than smashing B. Oh my god, please free me from this hell. Okay. Okay. Okay, well I know that's not true. Whoa. With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhide-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed.
Well, what's the meaning of that menacing pose, Counsel?
God, I have to speak his name. I'd like to witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you. Soseki-san. I can't. It's so making me laugh. And having him speak like a refined young lady at the same This query is directed at Inspector Hasanaga. That's me. In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, just like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What? Get to the point, please, counsel. Hurry it up already. The book! Ah! In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. Colonel, what do I do? Goku just appeared at the witness stand. In other words, Inspector Hasanaga's testimony is clearly flawed, Colonel. And Soseki-san. Me? You claim to have seen Minbami-san at the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes, I did. Wildly! But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point. That there was already blood on the knife you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and? It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. True! Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever gonna tell us? Bro, he doesn't like us padding this out. Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. I think picturing Sasato trying to talk like Snake the whole time and then letting out the most girly scream is the funniest. That's why I keep laughing at that image in my head.
What Soseki-san saw is in fact not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all.
But counsel, you can't even crank 90s.
Oh yeah, watch me. But the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be. Excellent work, Sasato. You exploded at them without objection, and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection and attempting to steal the show.
You're right, there were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution. He was only half a head of hair.
Bro, he's getting him. Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed! In any case, all this talk of stabbing, withdrawing, and multiple wounds makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man! When the accused first planted a deadly weapon to the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment that she had withdrawn the blade, ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood, because the accused had already stabbed the victim.
Well, yeah.
Ah! All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance. Ah!
I'm in agreement with the prosecution. Yeah, this kind of felt like a little trip to nowhere. If the defendant has been seen wielding the blade at all, that is insufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. Sorry, sufficient grounds.
But if she was withdrawing the blade, then we are back to where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent, as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with the demon's cold-blooded composure, too.
With a demons.
The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah, yes. Going for the jugular. Huh? What's bothering me by that? Let the court hear your answer then, counsel! The truth is, I really don't know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a chance.
The reason why the defendant pulled the blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could...
I don't like any of these. Well, it's not to stab her again, because she didn't stab her in the first place. Why would she need to hide the knife? Save her life. Like, it's the only one that makes any sense.
According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant.
It wasn't? Within minutes, okay. Had time for the blood to fill up the lungs. Thank you, Colonel. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is,
being a medical research assistant, Membrami-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled out the blade in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life.
Well, that's fair. I don't like how quiet everyone is.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem that this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed. Oh, is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness! I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the local defense counsel, I mean.
Slipshod? An excellent idea, Inspector.
She had an open slot in her inventory.
Our young yokel, hopeful as a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Oh, I know what they're gonna say. In a stab wound, you don't take out the knife or something like that. You leave it in to keep the blood clogged up. That's what I'm guessing. Because it's like I think in a situation where you're stabbed, if you take out what stabbed you, the blood's gonna flow out. But if you leave it in, it kind of acts as a blood cork. Maybe that's what they're asserting, because they're asserting I'm stupid in terms of medical knowledge. But I don't know if the game is going to stretch that far. That might just be a me thing.
Very well, Inspector. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. As flawlessly as a turtle on my head. Let's see. Forensics. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. Okay, yeah, we are going with that direction. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man in the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Okay.
Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily?
Yes, then give the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Well, exactly what I just said. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed.
Oh, I see. This is why Yoko should stay on the farm! Even a quack from some obscure mountain village should have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled her out again knows it.
Oh, well,
I've never stabbed anyone, you see. Or pulled a blade out of a wound, so...
Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Daddy over here being like... Actual classes of what the... Father, is it true? What they're telling me? Yes, it's basic medical knowledge for the medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out a knife in full knowledge that it would have been fatal for Miss Pratt? I don't know. Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... Could my friend actually have... Sasato! Yes! Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Ah!
Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examiner fails to identify any issue with the established facts, why am I suddenly turned southern? I will be moving to my judication immediately afterwards. We will immediately go into downtime.
I understand.
Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Oh, Sasato. It's a good thing she has a killer snake impression. He's always been John Marston. It was trying to be old man, but the old man voice. It strains on me if I do it for a long period, so it starts to go into a comfortable state, which is a different voice entirely. All right, yeah. I'm not actually sure where to go for this.
You say doing without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you used due care and attention, it would be alright?
I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but the blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage will occur.
In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it. Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation.
You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath.
Ugh. Back to the witness testimony, please. It sounds old man in my head. Okay, way to look like a fool.
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here.
Which is...
Clearly, the defendant, Ray Mimbrami-san, does not possess an ounce of sense.
What?! Why would you say that?! What do you think about that, Professor Mikatoba? I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense.
Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. I don't know young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. Oh dear. That recalled on me rather badly. Insanity plea, let's go! That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Mimbrami-san would certainly have been aware of it. Said insanity is a superpower. Okay.
But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently.
I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would have behaved so irrationally.
Oh, well, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, is it?
I can't even. Sasuto, what the hell? Oh my god, Sasuto! I don't know if that's complete open-mindedness of fully understanding women as irrational people, or if she's just really trying to blend in with the bros. Like, hey guys, women, am I right? Oh my god, I can't even. On the account of defense basis. Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument. Bro, I love that. That was such a good waste of time. I loved it. I haven't laughed that hard in a while. Okay.
Whatever the motive, it just isn't Mimbrami-san's nature to do something so awful.
My snake is weakening. I need to take a drink. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against.
But you don't know the defendant. And you do, Counsel, do not appear to know the law.
Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument. No feelings.
Without this fledgling to defend her, I'd almost say I pity the accused.
So do I. Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please. Yes, Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Mimbrami-san. All my homies hate emotional connections. Okay. I actually don't... Well,
yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Mimbrami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him.
Yes, that Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Mimbrami-san's abilities. Clearly. Wrong voice! Clearly the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Sasato, it's times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. Fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Ah! I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom, so if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record. That's an idea, certainly. What should I do? Sure, I'll just ask for a refresher. Sure, do it. Yes, Father. Spartan guidance is what I need. I think that might be overdoing it slightly, but... Very well. So, open the court record, first of all, with R. I don't actually... Okay, now let's take a look at the fountain pen, which was submitted as evidence most recently. So they press A to examine it further, and that's all there is to it. I didn't realize they hadn't done it. Yes, that's the initials RM. They are clearly... There they are, clearly engraved from the barrel. By using the control stick, you can look at the piece of evidence from all angles. You should have a good look at everything to make sure you haven't missed any clues. Yes, I will. Just need to rotate the pen with the control stick, and watch closely for anything out of the ordinary then. Okay, well. What's that? She's got a portrait. There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't a Yumi University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. A business of some kind. But that would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Updated! Okay. Where would I put that then? Hold on. I need to look at the... Okay, but where do I put that then? Okay, hold on a second. Okay, he's there. There's gotta be... Okay. I don't think there's anything important here. Feathers, the goose. Okay. So... Let's see. Did she say anything different at this part? By the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. So, I don't think there was anything else. I can't examine this in that way. Rakuna's England attorneys tell all. This is the interview that with you and Soseki-san, isn't it, Father? Looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me in the neck. I do hope you weren't hurt. What's in the back? This is the newspaper from Soseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well.
Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from UMI Medical Research Laboratory. From UMI's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen? It's this morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where could the reporter have gleaned this information? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? It's highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project. Ray? She was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it! We need to read this article very carefully. Okay, well that's been updated. Okay, is there anything else to find? If we take off the pen's lid... Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? What do we got? This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Is something wrong, Father? It's just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there. That's all. Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. Okay. The R images are very clearly engraved there, and the fact that Miss Barrett was clinging to this pin in her dying moments is very clearly a message too. To the event of her killer, you mean? I don't think there could be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case. Okay. But that doesn't... I still don't know anything. Look at the picture? I can look at it again. Okay, so... Okay, so maybe she would have tried to... What logic leap is this game wanting me to do? Hold on. What does that mean? What does that mean? Pupil construction. I don't know if this is an eating board. Okay, this one's not. I don't think these first three are important.
I don't know what... Bro, this is taking me a while. Okay, so let's save real quick. Okay, time to start presenting stuff and make the leaps in logic. Okay, young student. I don't think this makes sense. It sure doesn't! Okay. Let's try that again. See, I don't know what kind of argument I'm trying to make here. That's not even it. Oh, I'm. Okay. Okay, so that I don't mind taking a hit. But like it needs to make sense. What else do I have? What am I looking for? Bro, I feel so lost. Maybe, I thought maybe I need to show up. Is there a good reason, though? I feel so lost and confused. Oh, hold on, wait. I didn't even... It's a new item now. Hold on. I didn't even realize this. Okay. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yumi Medical Research Revenue. Following the lecture at Yumi by Soseki Natsumi on the 11th of August, it's come to light that a very disturbing incident took place. A deadly poison being secretly developed in the Usuri's forensic science laboratory was stolen. Deadly in tiny quantities. Even the smallest amount entering the body, either via the mouth or via the wound from a poison-laced blade, could prove fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. The university would have to be consulted. Onset symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute constriction of the pupils prior to death. Such symptoms would be suggestive of this toxin. It's apparently an entirely new synthesis of alkaloid and rumored to have been commissioned by the military. So she was poisoned! It was in the pen!
poison lace blade or an ink pen. Maybe. But what do I hit with this? Alright, I'm gonna try this. Oh, finally! Good God! I gotta get the voice back on. Oh, man. No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have had decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. What? Ha! The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Yuma Universe. The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case. But, Prosecutor Yuchi, you will let the defense speak. But the newspaper article! The court cannot rely on the kind of heresy those wretched publications carry. Counsel for the defense. I am going to need to see some tangible basis for your claim. You indicate to court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned that affirms your assertion. Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something further to further endanger Miss Britt's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled a knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says. Okay, what? Deadly and tiny qualities, then. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters a body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting? If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Mimbami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. Ashley graded is my life. It's been a while since I've seen him. By the way, welcome to the stream, Izzy. What? This is complete and utter nonsense! Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body, not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of the death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking... Oh, please! This is clearly desperation, the weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is reliable anyway. Yeah, we do. In that situation, what the student would have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. Potentially. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly! Well put, Inspector! On what ground did she do it, yokel? Your Honor. Why did Ray suspect that the poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds. What?
You can't possibly!
From your expression, counsel, it would appear that those are not empty words.
Jesus, serious.
But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence.
Yes, Your Excellency, I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times from my place at his side on the Old Bailey, in the Old Bailey.
In that case, counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates the clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article?
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. What are we asking? Okay. That hot reporter guy yet? Yes, we have. Well, it was stolen. So wait, what? Wait. Okay, hold on. I know what it is. Give it to me. I would ask the court to refer to the notes section in the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Ah! Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea. So please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death.
Yeah! Well,
under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes.
what are you doing, you yokel detective?
In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute constriction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely, yes, a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without a doubt. If poison caused means it was neurotoxin. Neurotoxin is one of my favorite poisons. Bro, you got the freaking favorite poisons on tap. Prosecutor Akuchi, I think you'll agree. This is a very compelling evidence.
You yokel student and yokel professor!
I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions.
No!
Eugen Mikitoba.
Yes, Your Excellency.
I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please.
Man, I seem to get all kinds of writers. I like to write myself. Never one of you. You secure. See, you know things I do not know. I am like a novice author. Like, I'm not a publisher. I just write things. It pains me to have to admit it. But I'm afraid I don't know. What?
You don't know?
The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft.
You mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded?
No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Ah, listen to the bumbling academic. Not aware of the theft of a secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper.
I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Father?
A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students rather than allowing them off on killing sprees.
That's totally unfair. Who holded it? Who holded it? Who held it? Knew how to get away. If you TJ. Character studies, but no full-fledged stories. It is difficult. None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Ray. Mimbami-san, you stand here accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated.
But it was me. I'm the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's why I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxic had somehow been taken. So I decided to try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea of who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that daunty English woman.
Miss Giselle Brett.
That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly as if she knew she was untouchable. I knew it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils in her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints. I don't believe it.
In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering from the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips while I had been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have injured her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes. If the amount had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's why I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time. Well, she wasn't really given permission to speak. Who put a 15, 16-year-old girl in charge of a government-issued poison? It's same! Man, the Middle Ages were, or the Industrial Revolution ages was something else.
Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage in which you confessed in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now. Oh, God. Your Excellency, do not be deceived!
And the Victorian era. Okay, gotcha. Victorian and Maya. Okay, gotcha.
I couldn't remember if they had said the era in the first game. Well, thanks for joining for a little bit, Izzy. You have a good night. Thanks for stopping in.
The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Mimbami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Britt came to be stabbed.
Well,
You have no answer, because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
Objection!
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Let me guess, you don't need evidence?
Oh,
I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive.
What? What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it. Satato knows her stuff.
You will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Ikuchi.
Perhaps some praises due, young yokel student.
What? What?
I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you brought this on yourself.
What in the... No! Wait a minute. There's so much that's a... Who took the shot? The lens is cracked. Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that bench is almost palpable.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Mimbami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back.
No, that's not true. No. Dude, she's clearly already dead at this point. She's on the ground. How do you get someone under the... Okay. How is that going to be your killing blow? How did you get her to the ground in the first place to stab her that way? Freaking Ikuchi, what are you on? There's so many flaws in that. I don't believe it. I don't either. I don't like screaming on command. It's difficult to do.
Order! Counsel for the defense, was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
He's high on precipice.
Perhaps his voice is yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow
Slow to mature. Bro, he just said the balls didn't drop. How rude! I'll show you who's slow to mature. Dude. Careful now. Sasato's starting to show her face here.
It is often said that a picture's worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence.
The incriminating photograph has been entered into the court record. Well, he's right. I can't believe he's had a photograph like this up his sleeve the entire time. It's such a stark image. I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute. I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Ray.
That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention.
Oh.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
Yeah, tell him, Sasato.
Ah!
What were you thinking?
I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once.
Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. But there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown.
Goodness! Are we to understand, then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it is fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court? Dude, she's so good. When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment, because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses.
But the defense has already admitted to the pulling of the blade from the wound. Clearly this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but...
The moment is withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, you have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene it captured without doubt is the most compelling evidence presented to the court.
This is ludicrous!
If the defense isn't able to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
This is nonsense!
Oh no! Sasato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yes, we just need to prove that somehow.
You have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the show's slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Tatsushiki Auchi in the court of law.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, Counsel.
Your Excellency, the burning question is who took that photograph, and the truth is...
Can I produce it? I can't say I don't know. Okay, hang on. Yes!
I have the answer, Your Honor. Cheek slap. The sound of my cheeks will be echoed throughout the halls for all to see.
This isn't about whether or not I can come up with the answer now. So we have to.
The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal. What? No! You can't possibly! But, as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. How utterly underwhelming! Did you really believe that you could... Silence, whelp! However, I am able to present evidence.
Someone said photographer? I have an IQ photographer.
The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals the important details about the photographer's identity. What?
Very well then, Counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photographer? What is that? The newspaper again? Raccoonius England returnees tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some little white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes indeed. They had already caught my eye, as it happens.
Ah, what of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably. From the branches of a tree or the like.
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph...
Look at this photograph!
Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph, too.
You silence.
Well, that tells us nothing! Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree! There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach council. Yeah!
What's quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
Because the lens that took both cameras is cracked.
The curious matching pattern appears on both photographic prints is a result of a camera defect. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs. With the photographic device!
Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device.
In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera. But there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to figure the owner of this particular one.
Dude, he took the picture of the photo.
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ekuchi, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article. A newspaper? Ah! That's right. The author of the article is the mystery witness to this crime. Ah! Ah!
No! Wait, I don't know what did that sound. Oh, it's you. It's him. I figured it was. I see why you were called a Raccoonus England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's Mimimento? I don't know how you're supposed to say this. Me mo. Is it meeny miny mo supposed to be? Sosuke-san, what was that? Did you say memento? I'm gonna say it's mini memo. A mini memo? I don't know, man. Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shuyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Rayton Memento. Yes, hound me from dawn till dusk. Ah, now they mention it. Every pose. Could that same reporter be? Camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Rayton Memento. So you're saying that this picture was taken by Memento, yes! My lord, your excellency, Esquire! Officer! Find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom! We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
Oh, yes, your excellency. As you say, your excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood?
Me. Ow. Me mental!
Random T-pose.
To be continued, Colonel.
So it's a little bit short to stop for today, so we're going to go a little longer. But I'm going to use this as a moment, a memento. A memento. To take a brief intermission. Where's my... There it is. So we'll be back in just a moment. Tiny break time. I'm going to run the ads, so go do something else while they run. And then we'll be back to do a little more of the case. I can't promise we'll finish it, but we'll see. Where's the mute?
I definitely should have left on some music. Whoops. I had put off the dinner wait. I had to go dig it back out. That was an hour and a half of pure torment. Game's opinion of it, though. I'm so sorry, Sasato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the English woman before anyone found out. Well, do you remember what you said, Sasato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence? That you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. You know, I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Sasato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Sasato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pulled the knife blade from Miss Britt's back, there was just a brief moment when in my mind, I doubted you. Sasato. I'm sorry, after I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be by your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no, no! And this should taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father, that fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Sasato. You know you'll always be a gallant and dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The English were sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. No, it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. More collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right, just measured myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could have possibly been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. So I can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day. I promise you, I'm going to prove everything you've said and saw was true. You said you saw. I heard a weird noise. You look like a true Mikatoba. I think we should discuss what's coming up at the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny upon the upcoming proceedings. The police should have hopefully identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, there's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. Police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's chemical region. It's impossible to detect the toxin. Chemical region? Sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to just deliver to the police headquarters. Maybe perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. It's gotta be on the night on the pin. That's where the poison was. Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a second. Oh, the reporter hasn't been added to the people yet. What's the matter, Sassato? You're suddenly very quiet. This is a newspaper article. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I don't know how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. What's all that English woman's doing? It was when the Professor and Sosuke-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. The so-called English lady swanned in and without any consumption said to Professor Mikitoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there." Put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. Sosuke-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a curiosity introduction. So then, Sosuke-san knew about the poison. Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. This Memento-san. By the way, that reporter join you at all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh. I know criminal could have been given permission by the authorities to battle bathe at the seaside. Sosuke-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it, anonymously, to the police. Ah! Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel! We've just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial's about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. There's some old men up there on the thing. Is this one of them supposed to be the previous, like, the judge in the Ace Attorney games? Give me a second. I'm just gonna be right back myself for a second. That's the wrong one. I just want to eat this sandwich. Alright, sorry about that, wait. I just didn't want to try to eat that in between dialogue. Like, I just gotta do this now. Time to steal ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhado. Yes! It's put her faith in me, and now it told me everything. So I can't let her down. I proved she's telling the court is true. That's what really happened that day. "11:30 a.m. Supreme Court of blur blah blur to blur to blur. I hereby call this court to order. Has reconvened to continue the trial of Ray Mimbami. Prosecutor Akuchi, have you summoned the new witness?"
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
No? What news? I'm so happy about it.
During the recess with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used in Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the regent delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. Do I have some of that stuff? I do. And counsel?
Counsel, what were the results? This dagger, which was so cruelly used in the life of the victim, has no trace of poisoning anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Armed with the regent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake.
In short, the accused feasible excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Ah! Now, the prosecution is ready to call its new witness.
The newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Hello, sir.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Ratan Memento of the Shiyu News, and what people like to call a journo. Oh yeah, look at his convenient initials, RM.
You know what else has RM on it? The pen, Colonel.
What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there when the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops so they're in the print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news. We found him, boys. Now I figured out how to blame him for 2 hours. But he's got pen markings when he uses the paper. He's lost his pen. Oh, so
it was you who took this photograph, wasn't it?
Well, what do we hear? I'm sorry? Oh, brace yourselves, people! Memento senses a scoop in the offing! Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up, we'll sit it above the fold at the 72.5 leg format for the morning edition. Right then, let's start with your name.
It's Ryutaro Naruhado.
Next, what made you become a lawyer?
I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while. By the way, my name is Tatsuki Akuchi. That's Taisuchi Ayuchi.
Ayuchi. I've been saying Ayuchi the right way. I even read it wrong, and he broke it down for me, and I still said it wrong. Oh, Ryuji! This is newspaper for the legally blind.
The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court, my objections strike fear into the very defense lawyer every defense lawyer's had.
No, the readers won't buy that. Ah! Witness! Yes. What is this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah? I wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when they're presented with a scoop like that, now would I? Sometimes stories come out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down. But either way, you've got to be fast. Fast legs to run with, and fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my oh, no, not a word. Not a word, my mortal enemy. Memor, blah, blah, blah. Ah! I can't skip it. What? Ah, yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself with Sosaki-san. It's okay, it isn't a real word. That's right, it was me, Memento again. But you were supposed to be going back to show you news offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Britt's words. A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen? That's horse dung! This country's judiciary is rotten to the core! The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on! The police are just imperial pawns!
Stay your tongue, young man! There are complex political issues at play!
Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right, here goes. I would like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. I should. A serious criminal going on some junket? The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get to the woman's story so I could hammer her in the press. And somewhere else. Me-heroism. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yes, I saw with my very own journal eyes. From the start to finish. Through the viewfinder of my trusty camera! Oh, thank you, Memento-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the event surrounding Miss Brett's death. I'm sure this will be great. The camera never lies. The beach hut was made of a shoddy old reed screen, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I had my camera ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. Reed screens, you say? Right! You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. Those walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows for breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness
everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut.
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens.
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble. It was a gamble of a lifetime.
The tenacity of purpose is considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose.
Run a risk one day, run the scoop the next. That's Mamma Mia in a nutshell. I'm not reading that word. I refuse. Alas, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The judge is tired of this. The evidence and the testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. I don't think the gameplay agrees. No.
Oh, wonderful news, Your Excellency! Wonderful!
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story from the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
Ha! More pathetic excuses!
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency. Your Excellency.
There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. The same way she's keeping her chest close to hers. She's got that chic stuff going on. That's gotta be painful, honestly. He composed the scene, did he? I don't think that's how camera... I'm not sure, honestly, Ramirez. It's a good question. Okay.
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place?
Call it journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman.
Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journal as a voyeur.
It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge.
Nope, you got it all wrong, little student boy.
Sorry?
To my mind, all that was inside the hut was a scoop, and nothing more, nothing less. Actually, I'm gay! Scoops know no gender, man nor woman, it's all news. That's not even memoism, it's basic journalism. Bro over here was believing in pronouns irrelevant back before that was that thing. He yearns for true gender equality. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. Poor Sasato. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move it on? Is it buttoned up, sir? Tell the court then, witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut. Never mind, he's ace. He can be both. The true gender equality. A sight that vindicated my journal instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it as clear as day. He's always got an extra pencil. Okay.
So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut?
Yep, and she was raging like my journal spirit. Like my massive boner in my pants. A boner for journalism.
And the argument you mentioned, what was that exactly?
Make me identify as wacky? Maybe, Ramirez. I'm sorry, I went through the low-hanging fruit. You stole it! I didn't steal it, that kind of thing.
Talking about the poison, I suppose.
The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs! What the frick? Dude, what the hell? It's okay, I thought it too. As did the writers. True. Remember, this is by Capcom. Capcom's a bunch of horn dogs. This guy's horny for a good scoop. The only gender he is the gender of journalism. The man should have been an author. His scriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the students' ratings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry.
And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me.
Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. But why would this guy kill her? Seconds later. Oh, okay, I already read that already.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out. From start to finish.
I have here a simple plan of the beach huts. Perhaps you could use it to explain the court exactly what you witnessed.
Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. I can't read any of that. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused's testimony confirmed that.
She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing ferociously. The English woman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. Well, what you describe as a grim scene indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what mementoism says. The beach hut plan's been added to the report record. Blah, 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 blah. By the way, memento-san, while as you were watching a terrible scene unfold before your eyes, through the gap in the screen, did not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film. Journalists have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'être. What is that? So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all. Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Mother, what are you... I will grant the defense's request. Memento-san, you will have to supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of mementoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was only there as an observer. Okay, that's why I have to contradict. Really, you didn't set foot inside the hut at all? You quite sure about that? Do you think what you may have... I think you may have the wrong impression of me. We're talking about a murder scene here. My nerves were wretched to breaking point already. Stretched. Oh, I see. You were scared. Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes. Was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to stop the shot. You really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera. Mementoism and humanism don't always agree. And most of the time, in those instances, mementoism comes out on top. Just like me! She's so distraught, I love it. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes I have to be cruel for my art. Yes, that's spot on. Surely he's making all this up. He claims to have spied the whole affair from the start to finish. If true, his testimony is devastating. But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it? If that's how you feel, I suggest that you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. As you no doubt seen many times before in your droll judicial assistant. Yes, I have. I've seen this like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do. Big, if true.
I might need to get some of these put it down. The court is fully aware of your desire to capture the incident on film, I'm sure. But why, then, did you choose to post the photograph anonymously to the police? Good point. I'm afraid I don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth. I'm asking why, as a journalist, you decided not to make a story out of the incident. Think of me as a sculptor who makes art out of the sordid, private details of other people's lives. But I never discuss my own personal life on principle. I mean, that's basic mementoism. That's not something to boast about.
No doubt your burning desire to see the truth exposed and justice done was what motivated you.
That's it! That's brilliant. My burning desire to see something or other exposed. There has to be a good reason why he didn't think to write an article about what he saw, though. By your own admission, you were outside the hut. How, then, did you manage to take the photograph? Ah, yes, that! I'm so glad you asked.
Hold it!
The two women inside didn't notice.
Ha! Obviously not! If they had, where would I be right now? In jail, that's where.
Which you think would make you reflect on what you were doing.
No, a journalist's job is to collect little snippets of life as unobtrusively as possible. Leave nothing but footprints. Take nothing but photos. Yes, that's spot on. Did he just make that up?
The point is, the witness risked life and limb to obtain this photograph. And this photograph reveals the whole truth. There's nothing more to be said.
Okay. I already pressed this, so. Alright. I need to disprove this. It's supposed to be the victim's blood. Oh dear, blood's never a pretty sight, is it? Having to fight the urge to run it under a hot tap and get it clean. You've always been fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you? I think this is something else, Father. Okay, nothing here. The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know. It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be a little help here, I'm afraid. Can you just have written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it. German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna go with my thought here on this one. Yeah, baby! My memento-san. Until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You were spot on there! The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the...
Shuryu News on my arm. It's right there. I'm like, I didn't know how to go back and look at him, but there it is. It's on the pin. I mean, I knew it was his pin, but I didn't know if there was a relevant way to show that. Anyway, in a way, that's more memento. That's more mementoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What are you suggesting with those recommendatory words, Counsel?
Recriminatory. I don't even know that word.
Memento-san, do you recognize this fountain pen?
Ugh!
The pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you?
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused remember me. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also R.M.?
No!
Reiten Memento, R.M.
That's horse dung! Can't you see? One of the central tenets of mimeoism is being a pencil user when you're covered in ink.
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there is a very obvious blue ink stain.
It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite mountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung!
Memento-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Jezebel Brett at the beach hut? Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly! Shuryu News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky.
The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky.
Huh?
And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue.
Dude, she looks so smug. I love it.
The clue that undeniably proves that who this owner really is.
I deny everything, said the innocent man. In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court. Will the defense now show the court where this alleged clue lies?
Of course, Your Excellency. Your Honor. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is spin it around town.
No, I know this! I hit the wrong button. I hit A.
As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize. Memento-san.
Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Shuryu News!
In other words, the owner of this fountain pen is an employee of the Shuryu News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Your Honor, League of Legends.
Guilty!
Well, Memento-san, how do you respond?
No! He freaking nipple slapped himself with his suspenders. Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine! I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, Shuryu News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
An interview? You never mentioned this before! When exactly was this?
As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. Could have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, and as we mementoists say, the people who don't pay their dues for unworthy news. Liar. However insignificant you deem it to be, the court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of the meeting and what transpired. Got it? Yes, alright. But, on one condition.
Condition?
In all good conscience, I could speak out loud about this. You need to call back to the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san. What? Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. And brace yourselves. It's because it's not a harmless one. It's big.
What? What?
A effing judge. Mementoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the other witness back to the stand. Bro, he's like, bro, I just want to go home. So it's like he's hiding something? He's like, why did I get here? I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked for the woman. Asked a very significant question. He didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why Memento demands I reveal it now. Well, then reveal it. Wait, that's illegal. You mean you say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Ah, well,
And when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
That's, true, yes. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused.
This is preposterous! Why don't we hear about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation! Yes, I did pose the withering English Rose a question. I won't deny it. But she no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for the defense, I suspect a thorough cross-examination be conducted here. Court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency.
The reporter is claiming that the Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow? What on earth could have happened in that hut? Hit you with the okay hand. Alright. You asked her for an interview, you say. Sorry, you say. Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year. About the case which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. That's not the way I phrased it. Memento calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson? Is how I put it to her. Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler. As a question, as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. The veteran at the paper taught me that. And how did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew! Not told me! So I walked right out of there. Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together. Leave your room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. The veteran at the paper taught me that. Sure. Bro, he's doing a gotcha over there. That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away. Persistence wins the prize! Any mementoist will tell you that. Let them think you've left, and then just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop.
And the fruit of your labor ought to abandon this telling photograph. I'm sure the young Kusun would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it says that photograph we've managed to identify this witness. And now that you've found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide. I'm sure.
Please do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say.
Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
I know I know he keeps getting me, and I hate it. And Soseki-san remained behind in the hut. That's right. Yep. Our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that haunted me while I was traveling abroad. Back behind baleful bars! They'll be coming for me, surely! That's all I could think. I felt as though I were gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply. As the world seemed close to ruin around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Ahama Buddha. Amadea Buddha, sorry. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity! The end is coming for me, surely!